Okay, intermediate algebra final review. Multiplying. Negative times negative. For the x's, we have 5 and 2 more is 7. For the y's, we have 1 and 4 more is 5. Okay. 72 divided by 9 is 8. And if we had 10 on top, and 13 on bottom, we can cancel, okay? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so all the ones on top divided out, and there's 3 left on the bottom. Okay, number 3. Okay, 5 minus 1 would leave 4. We multiply 4 times negative 2, and a negative exponent means 1 over. You flip. Okay, solve. We're going to get x by itself. Subtract and divide. Okay, and it wants the answer in interval notation. So less than 3 means don't include. Less than is to the left. Numbers that get smaller go to the negative, so we call that negative infinity. We put a parentheses around 3 because it's not including. It's not including because it just has less. Okay, we have x's on both sides. So I'm going to get rid of one of them. Subtract on both sides. Okay, add 7 on both sides. Okay, when you subtract, the symbol stays the same. When you add, it stays the same. When you divide by a positive, it stays the same. So x is less than or equal to negative 1. Less than goes to the left. Or equal to means to include. We always read that left or right, so from negative infinity to negative 1. The bracket is because we're including. We include because of the or equal to. Okay, we need to get x by itself, so subtract. The symbol stays the same when you subtract. Divide. We have to divide by negative 4 to get x. Okay, we're dividing by a negative. We flip that inequality. Okay, we're going to flip that inequality. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. Okay, less than or equal to is include. Less than numbers are to the left. What's on the left, when the left keeps going, that's negative infinity. The or equal to tells us to include, which means a bracket. Okay, negative infinity always has to be on the left side if it keeps going to the left. That means it keeps getting smaller. Okay, I need to distribute that 9. 9 times x, 9 times minus 5. There's a couple ways you can do this. If you get the 9x by itself, or if you do the 8x, either way, that's fine. Okay, let's just subtract 9x on both sides so our x stays on the left. Okay, we subtracted so it stayed. Okay. So we've got negative x is less than negative 36. That's an understood negative one that we have to divide by, so we get x. Divide by a negative means that symbol is going to turn the other way. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. Okay. Greater than, numbers are bigger on the right. It doesn't have or equal to, so we're not including. Okay, so parentheses 36 to infinity. Okay, it's parentheses because we don't have the or equal to. Okay, number 8 asks us to simplify, which means we need to factor. Okay, the top is a difference of 2 squares, plus 2 minus 2. The bottom is a trinomial with an understood 1, so multiply to 8 and add to 6, which would be 4 and 2. Okay, and what we can divide out are these plus 2's. Okay, what's left is our answer. Okay, number 9 is asking us to multiply. Oh, this is not going to fit. Okay, all of these things are going to need to be factored. Okay, so all of them are trinomials with an understood 1. So we multiply to the last number and add to the middle number. Okay, so for the top left, multiply to 72, add to negative 18, would be minus 12 minus 6. Bottom left, multiply to positive 21 and add to negative 10 would be negative 7, negative 3. Okay, at that top right, we need to multiply to positive 56 and add to negative 15. So that would be minus 8 and minus 7. Bottom right, multiply to positive 120, add to negative 22, would be negative 10, and negative 12. Okay, now we look for what can divide out. X minus 12, X minus 7. Okay, so what you have left is your answer. Okay, on number 10, we need to get a common denominator to add. A common denominator, all you have to do is multiply these two together. Okay, and whatever gets multiplied the bottom also gets multiplied the top. Okay, so x minus 9 needs to get multiplied on the left, top and bottom. And the right already had x minus 9, so it needs to multiply x, top and bottom. So we're going to distribute the top 2 times x, 2 times minus 9, and on the top right 3 times x. Now we can add 2x plus 3x is 5x. Okay, and they're over their common denominator, which stays the same. Okay, number 11 is subtraction. But these denominators factor. Okay, so I need to factor the denominators to find the common denominator. Okay, that bottom left is a difference of squares, plus 4 minus 4. The bottom right is a trinomial with an understood 1, so multiply to 4 and add to 5 would be 4 and 1. Okay, now the common denominator is not what they have in common. It's what they can all be. So everything that's there has to be in your common denominator. So our common denominator is going to be all the different pieces that are there, which is plus 4, minus 4, and plus 1. Okay, so we write that twice. Okay, whatever gets times in the bottom does to the top. So the left already had plus 4 minus 4. So x plus 1 is getting multiplied in for the left. On the right, it already had plus 4 plus 1. So that minus 4 is what's got multiplied in. Okay, so we need to multiply the tops. X times x, x times 1. Okay, and our common denominator, plus 4 minus 4 plus 1. Okay, now on the right, look at that minus in front of the 4. You got to distribute that. So negative 4 times x and negative 4 times negative 4 over our common denominator. Okay, so now we're going to combine like terms on the top, which is just these two right here. So x minus 4x. So the final answer is x squared minus 3x plus 16 over that denominator. The whole denominator stays the same. Okay, number 12, multiplying. Okay, so first we multiply. 6 times 2, x times x, and y times y squared. Okay, now x is an even number, y is not, so I'm going to take it back to 2 and 1. y2 times y1. Okay, now that 12 is 4 times 3. We've got to use 4 times 3 because we have to be able to take the square root. Okay, so the square root of 4 is 2. For the exponents, you take half. Half of 2 is 1. Half of 2 is 1. Oops. Okay, what's still inside the square root is 3y. Okay, number 13. The square root of a fraction. Okay, the square root of 81 and the square root of 25. For the exponents, you take half the power. Half of 2 is 1. Half of 6 is 3. Okay, this is a FOIL problem because it's 2 and 2. First, 2 times 2, outside, inside, and last. Okay, square root of 7 times square root of 7, and then with the 2 outside would be 2 square root of 49. These are like terms that can get combined. The square root of 49 is 7. 2 times 7 is 14. And 4 plus 14 is 18. Don't do anything else because those are not like. Okay, to rationalize the denominator, you multiply by the opposite. Okay, the opposite of minus is plus. Do the same thing to top and bottom. So we're going to distribute the top, 7 times 8, 7 times the square root of 2. We FOIL the bottom because it's 2 and 2. 8 times 8. 8 times the square root of 2. 8 times negative square root of 2. And negative square root of 2 times positive square root of 2 is square root of 4. Okay. These cancel. We can take the square root of 4. Okay, the square root of 4 is 2, but it's got that subtraction. Don't add the tops, they're not like terms. 64 minus 2 is 62. Okay, 16, graph. The best thing to do is to make a table. Okay, 0 is always an easy number. 1/4 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2. Now, 1 would not be an easy number, but if you plug in the denominator for x, let's see what happens. What do these 4's do? Cancel out. So if you plug in the denominator for x, if you plug in 4 for x, that will make those 4's cancel, so we just get 1 plus 2 is 3. Okay, so we have 2 points. 0, 2 means over 0, up 2. 4, 3 means right 4, up 3. And that's your graph. Okay, 17, x equals 7. When there's only one letter, that means that letter is always that number. Okay, so that means all our points have 7 where the x is. Y can be any number because x is always 7 and y is not in the equation. 7, 0 over 7 up 0. 7, 1 over 7 up 1. You can choose any number for y because lines go on forever. Okay, number 18 is our last graph. Okay, this is best to graph using intercepts. Okay, first plug in x is 0. Okay, 4 times 0 is 0. So that just gives us minus 8y. Divide. So y equals negative 1. And we got that by plugging in x equals 0. Okay, so there's 1 point. Okay, now plug in y equals 0. 8 times 0 is 0, so that part's gone. Okay, now we're going to divide by 4. Okay, so we got x is 2 when we put in 0 for y. So x is 2, y is 0. Okay, let me try to squeeze this in here. 0, negative 1 means over 0, down 1. 2, 0 means right 2, up 0. Okay, so these are finding your intercepts, which means where it crosses. Okay, now factoring, which means make a multiplication problem. Okay, factor out the GCF. They both have 6 and they both have x2. Okay, 6x squared times what would make 6x4y? That would be x2y, because 2 plus 2 would give me the 4. 6x squared times 5 minus 5 would equal minus 30x squared. Okay, this is a trinomial with a 1x squared, so we multiply to the negative 35 and add to minus 2. Okay, so that would be plus 5 minus 7. Because 5 minus 7 is negative 2, 5 times minus 7 is minus 35. Okay, so this is our answer. Okay, remember you can check by foiling. X squared minus 7x plus 5x minus 35. Negative 7 plus 5 is negative 2. Okay, also factor. This is also a trinomial with a 1x squared. Multiply to negative 24, add to positive 2, would be 6 minus 4. Okay, we can FOIL to check. X times x, x times minus 4, 6 times x, 6 times negative 4. Okay, and that 6 minus 4 gives us the 2x. Another trinomial with 1x squared. Multiply to negative 6, add to that understood minus 1. Okay, so this would be minus 3 and plus 2. Because negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Okay, same thing, multiply and add. So that would be negative 9 and positive 6. Okay, number 24 is a difference of squares. 49x squared is 7x times 7x. 81 is 9 times 9. We get it to multiply to a negative by positive times negative. Okay, last one. When you have a binomial that has a plus and it has squares, it is prime, meaning it does not factor. Okay, we've got square, we've got a binomial, we've got plus, it is prime. And that's the end of our review.